Good afternoon, everybody. First time ATS presenter, and I know you guys had a choice on where to go. I'm super excited that either you couldn't get out of your chairs or you didn't want to get out of your chairs, but super excited to present today. I'm going to start with a question for the audience. What does the speed with which a quarterback can get rid of the ball in the NFL, the speed with which a German football player can kick a goal, and Brad Pitt have in common? It's late in the day, but you can have some ideas. Anyone want to venture a guess? No prizes, no guesses? All right, fine. They can all be explained by data. We're going to give you a win. So they all are examples of teams that have invested in trying to understand deep behavioral data, NextGen data, to have a better understanding of their players and how they can put their players together to perform better in the media space or in the sports space. You may not know Digital Turbine. We are a leading premium mobile advertising solution for top brands and agencies here in the United Kingdom and around the world. And I want to take you on a 20 to 25-minute journey on how behavioral analytics around media today, and in particular, the mobile gaming space, can be used to put together advantageous media outcomes for you and your brand. I'm going to do that through a series of 4 steps. I want to spend a little bit of time defining and talking about what NextGen media analytics really are, how we got there. And then what I want to do is to present 5 questions that media buyers, planners, presenters should or could be asking about mobile gaming and their opportunity, and then detail the answers through a study, a 6-month study that we recently completed, and defined a set of new next-gen behavioral media statistics. Then we'll wrap it up with some fun conclusions and then get on with the day. As a premium media solution, mobile media solution for global brands and agencies, Digital Turbine does a lot of research. We also have eyes. And we walk down the street, on the subway, wake up in bed, look at our partners, look at our children, and we see, wow, mobile games are being used by everyone at all the times, across the day and locations. And if that's true, we then asked ourselves, if that's the case, wouldn't it be possible that top brands are actually missing customers outside the walled gardens where all their ads are? That if you're only running ads inside the walled gardens, that there's a substantial number of people that you might actually miss because they're spending more time in media that you're not buying. So we worked with a partner and studied a variety of brands, a deep analysis on about 15 brands to better understand how true was our hypothesis. And that brings us to our partner. We partnered with a behavioral research company named Curious Insight in the US. Behavioral research companies recruit panels from the young woman in the middle to the older man wearing the cool red glasses on the right. They recruit a panel that opts in to having their mobile behavior tracked down to the packet. That means that through Curious Research, Curious Insight, we can see the time, the frequency, the locations where someone may be consuming the media where you endeavor to place your ads, and where they're spending their time in media where your ads are not. Because they can sniff the information coming through the phone and on the display, we can see the views of the ads that you are placing inside of social media, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube. We can see where those ads are being viewed and where your consumers are getting exposed. And more importantly, everybody wants to target the whales within their customer segment. Because we can see that not only am I an Amazon user or a retail user or 35 to 45 years old, a long time ago for me, But we can see that, wow, that person has gone to Walmart 45 times in the last month, has used the Walmart app 15 times in the last 2 weeks, and if you were to do quartiles of behavior, that person is a whale. So we see a tremendous amount of information about users, which we then spent a month trying to digest down the learnings, which I'm going to share with you. And it really came down to what I'll call a Dickinson kind of duopoly, right? So there was a group of people, what I'll call the purple people, that really spent more time, more of their day, more of their hours, more of their sessions inside the walled gardens, listed across the bottom. Sure, they would spend some time outside the walled garden, inside the second largest category of time spent, which is mobile games, but most of their time was actually spent inside the walled gardens. Then there's a second group of customers that we're going to detail over the next 15 minutes that really spent more of their time in mobile gaming. This is down to the minute. So I may spend on an average day 2 hours in mobile games and 30 minutes in social media. That would put me inside of the I'm more in gaming segment. So with this duopoly, we then tried to study in detail the behaviors and study the exposures and the consumption of media by specific target markets. Let's get started. Question number one that the media buyer might want to ask: how many of my customers are more reachable in mobile games? Or said differently, if you aren't buying mobile games, how many of my customers am I going to struggle to reach? The first two metrics that I'll define today would be the more in gaming population, which would be the percent of the target audience you're trying to reach that spends more time in mobile games. And the second would be the more in gaming reachability. If you're not buying mobile games and they spend more time in mobile games, you can only catch them when they spend time in the area that you're actually buying. So let's take a look. So let's take a look first at Gen Pop, then we're going to look at specific advertisers and how they performed in the first half of the year. So here we have, for Gen Pop, I should have asked this question, but 33% of all consumers in the US spend, on average, more time in mobile games than they do combined on their phones, all the media you see across the bottom. A third of all people spend more time playing mobile games than they do combined every social media platform you see down there. You would think that would be important to know, right? I'm looking for heads to shake. Right? There could be some consequences of this behavioral reality. But we wanted to go a little bit deeper because you never get a brief for Gen Pop for 1 million advertisers. You get a brief by categories. So let's take a look at the entertainment space, where we looked at all of the advertisers trying to drive butts into seats. In particular, we could use the behavioral approach to actually identify people that actually go to cinemas. Right? So now, if you're a movie company, you want to target the people that may go to these movies or are inclined to go to movies. For that audience, in the first half of the year, if you just look at the people, a little bit less, 29% of all entertainment goers, cinema-going people, spend more time in something that most do not buy on a regular basis. If you look at the QSR space, you see something very similar. Here, we decided to, and this is an average, but we decided to look at 3 advertisers, 3 of the biggest quick-serve restaurants in the United States: McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, and Domino's. 32% of all people that have gone to a quick-serve restaurant in the first half of 2024 spent more time in mobile games. If you are a media buyer, planner, raise your hand if you are regularly buying mobile games as part of your brand campaign. Regularly. I got 0. Raise your hands if you have worked on a campaign where you have bought mobile games. I see some tentative hands. I'm going to guess maybe 10, 15%. One of the goals of the presentation here today is to get across the fact that it is not a nice to have, that as I go deeper and deeper here, that I'm building an evidence that it is at the point where mobile games are a must-buy for leading brands. Let's look at another category. Here, P&G, 2 massive brands, Tide and Downy, targeting women 18 to 35. This one, a little bit less. 20% of all women 18 to 35 in the first half of 2024 spent more time in mobile games. It varies by category, but the story is always the same. Years ago, I'm sure someone might have made a presentation like this on the cusp of everybody buying social. Years before that, I'm sure everybody made a presentation, you need to buy mobile web. We are at the point now where mobile games are at that tipping point, where there are so many people that are killing time, filling time with mobile games, that it is impacting your ability to reach them in the media that you are buying, which we'll dig into here. Mobile gaming reachability. You can only reach that person that hangs out in the mobile games when they come inside that wall. That happens to be about 27% of their time. So it's not that people that love to play mobile games don't ever use social media, but it's that on a 3-to-1 ratio, they're spending more time in a media that you're not buying. You might imagine that if that's the case, that it might be rather hard for campaigns to actually reach your target audience. So let's take a look at question number 2. How well, actually, are my walled garden ads actually reaching this audience? So again, this company, the panel, we can see the ads that are being seen by people. They see it in the packets. So we went and looked, again, first half of the year, and broke down 2 metrics, the relative reach and the relative impressions. And what we're doing here is comparing, when you run a campaign, it's no different than comparing 2 audiences that you like equally, but they're different. So black, white, tall, short, with hair, without hair. These are just behavioral segments. And what we wanted to look at is the brand effectively reaching these consumers? Relative reach. So here for the entertainment category. In the first half of the year, every entertainment advertiser rolled up reached about 56% of all moviegoers in the first half of the year. If you were one of those people that hung out more inside the garden. If you were one of those people that we mentioned earlier that hung out outside the walled garden, inside of mobile games, your reach is not 56%. You're not on par. You're reaching only 32% of those people, 43% less. If you take a look at the QSR category we spoke about earlier, first half of the year, these 3 QSR brands reached 42% of those people with their social ads. Nope, not outside. The folks that have a behavioral tendency to play games a lot more than social media, 22%, 52% less reach to that particular segment. Within CPGs, 2 massive brands trying to reach 18 to 35-year-olds. It's interesting, we went back. I showed this presentation to our internal P&G seller the other day and said, wow, P&G's ads, they're always live. They're always in market. You're telling me that only 22% of women 18 to 35 saw those ads? It brings us right back to the targeting conversation of earlier. Their first question is, how is that possible that they're always live? They're hitting people that's out there outside of their target market. The way that the media buyers are positioning and placing the ads is not necessarily on par. So first off, that number 22 is much lower than P&G probably would have thought. The second point is that, again, the population that is a mobile gaming first population is seeing way less, half, 62% less reach. And then finally, relative impressions. Right, so again, it's not that people that play mobile games aren't going to see your ads. They will have a less likelihood of seeing the ads if they are behaviorally dominant within mobile games, and that is a large part of the population. But we all know about effective reach. You have to hit someone multiple times. So even for the people that McDonald's did hit, that tend to be mobile gaming heavy, for every one ad that audience cohort saw, they were hitting the other guys twice as much. So it's not even just that you can't reach them. You can reach part of them. But when you do reach them, you aren't reaching them with the frequency because they just aren't in social media long enough, often enough, for your ads to actually find them. Tide, a very similar story. For every one ad that P&G's Tide brand delivered for the gaming heavy, 2 were seen inside. Right, so we're telling a very similar story around the challenges of effectively reaching the desired market at the frequency that you would want. So someone said, God, you're showing me a lot of numbers. Just boil it down for me, right? I can't do the math in my head. What does it really mean? Tell me, how much incrementality could I get if I actually were to buy mobile games? And that brings us to 2 new metrics. I mentioned the term on par earlier, where I said the reach outside the walls within the people playing games dominantly was not on par. So what we mean by on par incrementality is, what if, hypothetically, you were doing as well with the people that tend to play mobile games as you were doing with the people that tend to be in social? If you just delivered, made all those blue bars the same up top as they were on the bottom, that's how much incremental reach you would get. And then target incrementality takes advantage of Digital Turbine's footprint across 80,000 top mobile games around the world, direct access to that inventory. And if you were to leverage our footprint to reach those. So I'm going to show you 4 categories and 2 numbers. One is the on par, if you just did as well. And then the second is if you leverage our global footprint to reach those same consumers. And I'm not going to go through every one, but range is here 12%. 12% incrementality for a CPG brand if they just did as well with gamers in that audience as they're doing with social dominant. 17% if you leveraged our global footprint of 1.2 billion monthly active users within the game community. Retail, cinema, CPG, again, massive incrementality. So for those that are getting measured on reach, efficiency, and effectiveness KPIs, a massive opportunity here on reach. So the skeptics might say, yeah, okay, but I know. Gamers are weirdos. The people that spend a lot of time playing mobile games, they're weirdos. They aren't really the customers that I would like to have. They don't spend as much. They don't visit me as much. They aren't really people that we care about. So what we did here was we looked at and created the variable or metric called top customer index, where we looked at Amazon and Walmart customers and then used the Curious Insight research to actually divide customers of these stores into thirds. Top customers based on how often they visit the store, use the app, use the website, middle section, and lower section. And you can see here, there's the low and mid. So now we're taking all their customers, putting them into 3 equal groups like quartiles, but technically they're called tertiles. Just a weird word, so I don't say it very often, tertiles. Guess what? The highest tertile of Amazon and Walmart customers is a little less prone to spend more time in mobile games than in social. But not by much. Not by much. Still really important to get into games. But let's take a look at McDonald's, Domino's, and Chick-fil-A. 31% of their audience are the light gray guys that spend more time in mobile games. but their best customers, the folks that eat there all the time, use the app all the time, pre-order, drive to the store to pick up food, over-index. Let's look at entertainment. Is it going to be higher or lower? Somebody. 107, right? Entertainment, guys love entertainment of all media. They're hanging out inside mobile games. They're harder to reach. That top tier of moviegoers, really important to reach. Mobile games, a great way to find them. Finally, last part, does gaming offer me anything else besides incremental reach? I said earlier that many of you may have reach, effectiveness, and efficiency goals. Let's take a look at a couple. But before we do that, oops, rewind. The two variables that we will look at will be incremental completed views and post-video engagement rate. All right, so first, let's take a look at why mobile game inventory works so well. It's like TV, but it's better. Once upon a time, you made a beautiful 30-second video ad, you placed it on TV, you caught people sitting on a sofa, watching your ad. If they didn't get up and leave the room, full screen, full sound, beautiful delivery, right? Not so much in Facebook, not so much in YouTube. Things are skippable. You pass by when you swipe by. When a brand can find a customer that's willing to listen with an ad that's played without those concessions, you can deliver impact. The way that mobile games work is ads are delivered in between levels. Not as an interruption to the content, but at a natural pause and break in the content. And we leverage that natural break by placing an ad or rewarded ad and adding engagement options, which we'll show in a little bit, at the end of that to drive brand choice and brand lift to very high records. So let's take a look at a couple of these campaign examples. I think they're going to dim the lights and turn the volume up. I may talk over it, but here we go.
From morning coffee runs to family trips, away games,
this is the 30-second video
camp
from
outs,
Honda. Listen closely in about
and
5
weekend
seconds.
projects. No adventure is too big for the Honda lineup with available all-wheel drive. Find the right Honda for you by visiting your Honda dealer online today.
Find the right Honda for you by visiting your Honda dealer today, or do it right now. With the interactive in-card of this ad, the user can find the right Honda for them, find the right model, pick the right color, and engage with the dealership immediately after. Let's take a look within the CPG space and how we've worked with L'Oreal. Again, this ad plays between levels of a game on request to earn coin within the game. Same wonderful full screen, edge to edge, sound on advertisement that runs on TV, but better, because at the end of it, there's seamless interactivity, which allows the user to engage with the product, to learn more, to drive up the effectiveness, to drive down the purchase funnel, and to deliver higher results for the advertiser. Finally, a fun one, because we all love fuzzy cats that eat lasagna, for the entertainment space. We're playing a trailer is the bread and butter of getting butts in seats. Here's an example of an entertainment ad.
Hey, Junior, this is Vic, my father.
You ever jumped a train?
I've never jumped.
Here's that stop.
Really? Where?
Ooh, Odie, you'd think he'd see that coming.
Let's get it.
Anybody here play Subway Surfer? Know the game Subway Surfer? Have kids that play Subway Surfer? Subway Surfer is what's known, a very popular infinite runner game. The infinite runner game mechanic, as you see here, is a very well-known game mechanic. And by adding this fun, engaging part, I'm going to stop here for a second. Is anybody here a retired physicist? That was a winger. Newton's second law of motion, objects in motion tend to stay in motion. If you are a gamer and you are using your fingers to have fun, and you present something fun to the gamer that is in the mindset to engage with something beautiful, edge to edge, fun, they will. And the mechanic of infinite runners are just one of many mechanics that we do to actually leverage that. Dyson is the final one I'll show.
So you get the suction power of most big corded vacuums.
I think we abbreviate the
without
30-second ad
the
here.
hassle of a cord.
But what's very interesting
Only
here
a
is we
Dyson
use the dynamic
works like
process
Dyson.
to help the user, interested user, find the right Dyson model by asking home, apartment, pet, no pet. And by the end, you wind up knowing exactly what you would want. So driving down the purchase funnel, driving up intent to buy. If you stop by our booth, there will be a QR code where we just released a study with King's College of London, City College of London, where they looked at over 250 of our campaigns and measured brand lift, the impact on brand choice intent, technically, varying by the type of interactivity that we added by category. So which is the interactive category or element that drives the most brand choice lift by about 7 or 8 different categories. But I'll share this right here. Post-video engagement rates, brand choice intent, that's the study from upstairs, 32 to 40%. Massive lift in key brand measurement. So, bonus question. So what can DT do for me? As I said before, we are a premium mobile advertising solution used globally. We help people, as I just articulated, grow their reach by giving them audiences that if they were only in social media, they would never have. We have a reach of 1.2 billion monthly active users across the world. Since our SDK is integrated into 80,000, directly into 80,000 apps, no programmatic inefficiencies, bi-direct, consistent rendering experience, and you just saw the effect of these numbers. I spoke about the brand choice intent lift. Here are a couple numbers that are a little lower down or higher up, view-through rates and video completion rates. So that's a lot. I think I'm just going to nail it on time. What I really tried to articulate here is that there's been a massive shift in consumers and how they use their phones to kill time. It's not just for social. Mobile games is now critically important because of that shift. So there's some good shift in this presentation. Now, the people in this room kind of have a choice about this shift. You can either decide to, I don't give a shift, and continue to do the same media buys that you have been, though we are at a tipping point, or you can get your shift together and work with a gaming company, an ad company that can get you into the gaming space and close those gaps that I spoke about. Obviously, I like talking about this. If you're interested in any of this, let's shoot the shift at some point. I'll be up at our booth later today. Hope you enjoyed the presentation, and please find our folks up at our location upstairs, and would love to continue the dialogue. Thank you very much.